Good morning and welcome to Mornings on Main Street for this Friday, March 31st. I'm your host, Stefanie Miller. Information continues to come out into the deadly helicopter crash that killed 9 101st Airborne Division soldiers on Wednesday night. Main Street Clarksville reporter Cheri Reeves has been covering the story and tracking all of the information. She has more for us this morning.
It was a somber day at Fort Campbell on Thursday. As I headed out towards a morning news conference, I followed 3 hearses heading north, obviously on their way to retrieve some of the victims killed in Wednesday night's crash. Fort Campbell officials tell us that on Wednesday evening, March 29th at about 10 p.m., 9 soldiers from the 101st Airborne Division air assault were killed after 2 Black Hawk helicopters crashed in Cadiz, Kentucky and Trigg County. The cause of the crash is not yet known. On Thursday, Fort Campbell officials said in a morning news conference there were 5 soldiers on one of those helicopters and 4 soldiers on the other. The helicopters are used for medical evacuations. On Wednesday evening, the helicopters were flying a multi-ship formation and using night vision goggles, according to Brigadier General John Lubas. All 9 of the crew members were based at Fort Campbell in the 101st Division, and there were no other casualties in that crash. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear thanked the first responders who arrived swiftly at the crash site. Clarksville Mayor Joe Pitt said the hearts of the city of Clarksville are broken today. Cynthia and I are praying for the families and leadership impacted by this news. He said the city has communicated with the leadership at Fort Campbell and stands ready to help in any way that is needed. Pitts added that the city and its surrounding community are all grateful for the service and sacrifice of the soldiers and their families who nobly serve and protect our freedom. I'm Cheri Reeves for Main Street, Clarksville.
Cheri, thank you. And again, to track the very latest, head over to mainstreetclarksville.com and follow Cheri's stories right there. We could see some severe weather later on today. To track more, we turn to Tennessee Valley weather.
Good Friday morning. Thank you so much for stopping by for this weather update. I'm Ben Luna. All right, across the area weather-wise today, stay weather aware. Strong storms likely across the entire mid-state region as we head through this evening and early Saturday morning. Here's the big picture. This system back out toward the west on the satellite and radar replay. That's what's to blame for the severe weather threat today. Now, we're already starting off with a few scattered showers across the mid-state region. We'll get these out of here by around the midday, but the atmosphere will recover. We've got a lot of energy on top of us today, and that's going to work into these storms as we head through the evening hours and then late tonight as this band of cells back out toward the Mississippi River approaches the mid-state region. I think they're going to find enough fuel to blow into storms that will produce damaging winds, and we're also going to have to watch for tornadoes in this whole setup. I think what we're going to be looking at more along the lines of supercell storms as again we head through the late night hours, say anywhere from 9 to 2 a.m. for points west and then east of I-65. The good news, by 3 o'clock, everybody should be done with this and we'll be clearing out, and the rest of the weekend, not half bad. Get to celebrate Palm Sunday under a partly cloudy sky. Here's the breakdown for you over the next few days. Again, stay weather aware tonight. Can't stress that enough. Good news, though, tomorrow and Sunday both looking pretty good. Monday and Tuesday, we'll transition back to another stormy pattern. Tuesday into Wednesday, we'll be watching this. Could be seeing some more rocky weather around here. That is something that we'll have eyes on. Notice your temperature trend. We're going to be nice and warm over the next few days. Overnight lows not too terribly bad, especially as we get into around the mid portion of next week. Stay weather aware. That's a look at your forecast. Have a great Friday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You can track the very latest in weather by downloading the Tennessee Valley Weather app. Just make sure that you are tuning in to your source for weather information this evening. Coming up, we sit down with our financial advisor to learn about the best places to invest money. And after that, we head over to Gandy's Seafood Cajun Market in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, to learn how to pick out some of the best and freshest seafood. Stick with us.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around.
I didn't think there were any cops around.
I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Tell me your name, sir. Where you are right now?
Main Street Sports Today strives to bring you the most timely and comprehensive coverage of sports news and more from Middle Tennessee and beyond.
We cover the teams you care about from preps to pros and bring some of the most influential voices in sports to keep you in the know.
Tune into Main Street Sports Today each Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Download the Main Street Media TV app.
Welcome back on this Friday. Being a Financial Friday, we have questions for our financial advisor, Ben Smith with Northwestern Mutual. Welcome back. We always love having you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me back.
Oh, anytime. So today's question or topic of the morning is where to place your money for investments. Where do we go?
That's a great question. I always like to talk about diversification when it comes to this, but both diversification inside of investment accounts and diversification outside of investment accounts. There's a lot of people will go to the internet to get advice, and there's a lot of very cheap, simple advice out there on the internet that isn't always the best advice to follow. One of the common pieces of advice that I'll stumble across, clients saying, yeah, this is the way that I've invested my money, is they pick an ETF or a mutual fund that tracks the S&P 500.
Okay.
And that's not a bad idea per se. You're taking your money and you're spreading that out across 500 different companies that tend to have a growth opportunity, a good track record, and they're major companies here in America and exposure to Coca-Cola has exposure everywhere except for, I believe, Cuba and North Korea. But largely, that's just one area that you can be investing in inside of an investment account, and that's called large cap U.S. stocks. If you're approaching retirement or you're in retirement and you're following this advice, you're really setting yourself up for a negative situation when we enter into some type of economic recession. And this is why diversifying inside of your investment account is really important. You want to have exposure to other areas. Bonds are a popular one for as people get older, where there won't be as much fluctuation or volatility with those monies, because generally bonds tend to be a bit safer or tend to vary less in their returns than stocks do. But even if we stay on with stocks, we can and should have exposure to international markets, emerging markets, real estate, commodities. There's a litany of other areas that we should be invested in. And ultimately, a sound, diversified portfolio is providing exposure to all of those areas, not just pigeonholing you to 500 companies that are US based.
Okay. So you were talking about people finding a lot of their information online. It's because it's typically easy and it's free. If someone does have a question, can they call, say, whether it's Northwestern Mutual or somebody else, can they call with those questions without being charged?
There are resources that you can leverage for that.
Okay.
There are plenty of great books that have been written over the years that will provide all of the knowledge that anyone ever needs to do the financial decisions that they need to make.
Okay, there is a place out there then to get that.
But in my experience, for most people, the issue is not the knowledge per se. It's more about the implementation of it.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. It's not getting the money invested inside the Roth IRA. It's getting the money into the Roth IRA in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, for a lot of people, being able to talk with an advisor, someone who's not just going to provide the knowledge, but will then also assist in the implementation of the new knowledge that you've received. Mm-hmm. That's where I think the biggest value can come from. Not knowledge alone, but knowledge plus implementation.
Got it. Okay. Well, how much money should be invested?
Yeah, that's a great question. But to answer that one, I think it's important to understand why we invest money.
Okay.
I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there's a great book out there, The Richest Man in Babylon, mm-hmm. that breaks down financial topics in a very basic manner. And you should invest 10% of your income is the author's guidance, mm-hmm. Every year, and eventually you can pull that money back. But if you were to invest in something outside of investment accounts, where would you go to? There are different things that you can do. Maybe it's having a side gig. Maybe it's you've got a barbecue truck that you're running on the weekends and you're taking your money and you're investing it in this business that is able to provide great returns for you. But there's time involved with that as well, mm-hmm. right? Maybe you have a real estate portfolio as part of your balance sheet, and you're receiving some income from that. Any landlord will let you know that there's nuances involved with, renting out real estate, whether it's dealing with problems or maybe not receiving income every month because you're in between tenants. Mm-hmm. But there's time that's involved with that. That's where using the capital markets is a very easy default way to put money somewhere that it can grow over time, because you don't have to go out and use your time to make your money grow. Mm-hmm. You're inside of that account, spreading that money across hundreds of companies, especially if you're diversified, right?
Right.
And you're leveraging the business acumen of those companies to then grow your investment for you.
Okay.
You just then need to make sure you're not in a position where you have to sell those assets while they might be in a gully, while they may be at a depressed valuation. Just like you wouldn't sell your house, most people wouldn't want to sell their house if the market was down 20%.
True.
We typically don't want to sell out of our investments if the market's down 20% too.
True. Okay. A couple more questions for you. So what happens, say, if you have an investment that turns out not to be the best investment for your money?
Yeah, that can definitely happen. Companies go bankrupt, and that circles back to why should we diversify? You could absolutely lose all of your money in investing, and the easiest way to do that is to stick all of your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
And when that basket drops or the company goes bankrupt, you're left on the sidelines there without that investment that you have made. And so an easy way to mitigate against that is to diversify and spread that money across many different areas. But have you ever heard someone mention about how they invested in their 401k and they lost it all?
Yes, I have.
So generally speaking, that doesn't happen when your money's diversified, because not all companies go bankrupt at one time. And if you're spreading your money across hundreds or thousands of companies, the probability of them all going bankrupt at one time is pretty low.
Okay.
So let's go back to the dot-com bubble or the Great Recession. Talk about the way that people typically invest their money. Mm-hmm. Behavioral finance is a concept that exists because people feel more comfortable investing when things are great.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And when things are great, typically we're at the top of the market. And in November and December of 2021, mm-hmm. while everything was peachy and the market was at all-time highs, there were a lot of people that felt very comfortable investing their money. 3 months later, after we saw some sharp declines by March of 22, there were a lot of people that felt uncomfortable now investing money at a 15% discount, right? Because now all of a sudden everything was different because we had experienced some loss.
Right.
And so the worst investments, I say all that to say the worst investments that I've personally seen people make tend not to have to do with an individual security, but more of timing the market, where things were great, they invested their money, things went sour, they sold it all. Mm-hmm. And the S&P 500 back in the mid 2000s, right before the dot-com bubble burst, was at all-time highs. And had you invested $100,000 in a ETF or a mutual fund that tracks the S&P 500 at that time in mid 2000, you would have been underwater with your investment for almost all of the next 7 years. And for those that remember this time frame, you can just imagine it gets to May of 2007. And you're finally back to your original investment. Your $100,000 is back. You're in the green. And it's May of 2007. And months later, the market crashes and you're down hard again. And it wasn't until mid 2012 before that same original investment from 2000 is now back above water, right? And so a lot of the frustration when it comes to investing, it often doesn't have to do with picking a bad company. Oftentimes it has to do with picking bad timing to start investing. And when everyone else feels comfortable, you then jump in. So how do you mitigate that?
Do tell us.
All right. Well, just the way that you diversify your investments, you want to diversify the price that you invest. You can't really do that too much when you buy a business or you buy a house. You can't buy a third of a house and then the next year come back and buy the other third. But when we are leveraging the capital markets, that's a tool that we have at our disposal. We don't have to rush all money into an investment account immediately. Sometimes that makes a lot of sense to do that. Sometimes it doesn't, especially for younger investors. And when I say younger, I mean inexperienced investors. And so the easiest way to do that is to schedule out that investment over time, or say, hey, I'm taking 10% of my income every month and I'm sticking it into an investment so that I'm not just investing when times are good, I'm investing when times are bad too. And when I invest when times are bad, generally speaking, that means I'm picking up more investments for that same dollar amount that I'm investing, because those asset prices are lower than they were back when the times were good and everyone else felt comfortable investing.
So what you're saying is we need to diversify.
Diversify.
The word of the day. Ben, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and all of this helpful information. Again, Ben Smith, financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here.
Anytime. Look forward to having you back the next time. Stick with us here on Mornings on Main Street. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
you can't be in the fresh water or fish every day, what do? You have a seafood market. That's what you do. Ben Meredith with Gandy Seafood Cajun Market here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. First off, Ben, thanks so much.
Hey, thank you for being here.
You know, we're talking about seafood in general and what we can find that is fresh, that we may not, again, if we're not on the water, out on the coast somewhere, that we can get right here at home. What do you guys have?
So we pretty much have the gambit of Gulf and beyond seafood. So you have a lot of your Gulf seafood in swordfish, tuna, redfish over there. We've got some fresh mahi. We have sheephead. We've got monkfish. We've got grouper cheeks. And then you get a little more local with rainbow trout. We've got Chilean sea bass. We also have Chilean salmon as well. And that's on our fresh fish side. And then when you want to move to shellfish, we have 6 types of shrimp. We have 3 types of Gulf shrimp up here, jumbos, mediums with the shell, peeled and deveined. You have what they call Argentina pinks right here. We would have head-on shrimp right here, but we don't do a lot of head-on shrimp in Tennessee, so we keep those guys in the back.
Gotcha.
Instead, so we've got clams out of Georgia. We've got mussels out of Prince Edward Island. We have Maine lobster claws. We have Caribbean lobster tails. We have Virginia oysters. So it's kind of a, you tell me what you're looking for and I'll just point to where it is.
When people come in and they want to try something new, but they may have a sensitive palate, I guess would be the best way to put it. They're used to say store-bought salmon or tuna. How do you, I guess, help them move over to something a little different?
Well, it's part of it is what kind of consistency of the fish do you like? Do you like something that's lighter and flakier? You know, that's where you get your Chilean sea bass, or you get your red snapper. Or do you like something that's got more of a firm, steaky texture? That's when you get to your mahi, your amberjack, your redfish, and that sort of thing. And then if we don't have what they're looking for, I said, well, I can either have it tomorrow or the next day. So we're always doing pre-orders. Don't leave it up to what we have here, because we can get a multitude more of different types of seafood. If this is just what we can fit here. So,
well, where do you get your knowledge about seafood? Where does that come from? Because again, you're in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Well, it's a love of fishing. It's like you said, I wish I could live on the coast. I wish I could fish every day. I can't. There's family in Tennessee, so why not do this?
Your most popular item that you have?
Royal Reds right here. So it's a deep water shrimp. It's more of a lobster-like taste and texture. We cook more of these in-house than anything, but the shrimp we sell the most of is going to be your medium Gulf. That's your gold standard for boils and things of that nature. So it's a good size. It's got the shell on, keeps the good flavor, but when you're having to peel off the shell, it means you eat slower. It means your stomach catches up to your brain faster, tell you that you're full, and then you just don't have to have as much. So
when people come in and they're like, okay, I want to buy this, I want to get this, I want to cook this for my family, but I don't know how to season it. Do I just toss it in water? Do I throw it in the microwave? Like, how do you walk them through the best way to prepare it?
So a lot of what we have is you want to taste the fish. You don't want to overdo what you're doing to it as far as seasoning and that sort of thing. So we just say a little bit of oil, garlic, lemon, something like that, a blackening seasoning, just a Cajun seasoning, just a light dusting, because you don't want to overpower the flavor of the fish. Otherwise you could get something frozen or a little less fresh, right? But yeah, we just say a little bit goes a long way when it comes to this type of seafood.
How do you keep it so fresh here?
We sell it. That's the best way. You know, we understand the life cycle of the fresh fish. We only put out as much outside of one fillet of salmon. That is all the fish we have. So as we're selling, we're ordering more. We don't sandbag the fish. We don't have a lot of fish in the back. This is it. And like I said, it's as I'm selling salmon, I'm ordering salmon for the next day. As I'm selling swordfish, I'm ordering swordfish for the next day.
I have to admit, maybe I just haven't been to the right spots. This is the most, I guess, fresh seafood that I've seen or come across. Where else can we get this in Tennessee?
So if you're closer to the Nashville area, there's actually another Gandy's location out in Hermitage.
Okay.
So he is essentially the same as us, a little bit smaller footprint, doesn't have the tables, but is more of a grab and go or grab your fresh seafood and go.
Now, what is the price point if you're looking for fresh fish?
We try to hit all spectrums with catfish at about $8.99 a pound, all the way up to Chilean sea bass at $37.99, or bluefin tuna will be about $39.99. So, but we try to to hit all price points.
And your most popular season when you have the most people in?
Right now, crawfish boil season. So once the weather gets a little bit warmer and the crawfish price drops, then it's crawfish and shrimp and seasonings and sausage. It all kind of goes together. And then when we can get blue crab, right now it's a struggle to get live blue crab in, but when we get blue crab in, it also helps as well. So
very nice. Are you open to people coming to you to ask questions so they can gain more knowledge about fresh seafood?
Oh yeah. What I tell people is you can message us anytime on Facebook. I'm this close to just giving out my cell phone number to people. Just I'll do anything to sell anything I can is what I tell them. And so we're closed Sunday and Monday, but I tell people that if you're looking for something or you have a seafood emergency, just message me on Facebook. I come up here once a day. I can tell you anything that's not cooked. We're open to any questions. Anything seafood related. If we don't have it, I'll do anything I can to find it.
That's absolutely wonderful. Ben Meredith, once again, thank you so much for all of that. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you feel would help people out?
Don't be scared. It's a little intimidating. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's so much better than getting something previously frozen or that's in a bag. We can show you how to do it. We can cook it for you, right? If you don't want to go home and cook it, you just tell us, what type of fish it is, how big a piece you'd like, and we can have it ready for you on the way home, and or you can enjoy it here. So
very nice. We're gonna have to become best friends, Ben, I think. So again, Gandy's Seafood Cajun Market. This one here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The other one more time.
Hermitage,
Tennessee as well. Stick with us here. We have a lot more coming up right after this.
There's a lot to consider when it comes to choosing a Medicare plan. That's where Health Markets Insurance Agency can help. Independent licensed insurance agents who work with Health Markets can answer your questions about the different parts of Medicare, when you can enroll, benefits, costs, and more. Speak to a local licensed insurance agent today to get started on your Medicare journey.
At Miss Lou Steele's, we go for apple pie. A place that feels like a home away from home. A comfortable place to bring your family from out of town. It's a place where great conversations are had. It's a place where you can shop 200 small businesses in one location. It's a place for you to shop for gifts for any occasion or just to treat yourself. Come on down to Miss Lou Steele's. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back. I have a couple of spots for you to visit if you're looking for something to do this weekend. One you heard about yesterday. I'm talking about the Mule Day celebration in Columbia, Tennessee. Now, if you plan on heading out there on Saturday, be sure to get there early to get your spot for the parade. But also know that you'll enjoy not only checking out the mules on hand, but also hearing some fantastic bluegrass music, dining on some really good food truck food favorites there, as well as taking part in maybe some old-time dancing like clogging and square dancing. And then on Sunday, you'll have some gospel shows there in Columbia. If you would like to head on out to Montgomery County, well, it is opening day for historic Collinsville Pioneer Settlement. That opens up on Saturday. So pack a lunch, take the family, and just enjoy a day of history and going back in time. Thank you so much for joining us here for Mornings on Main Street. Hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning.